It says live.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This episode of Outside the Locker Room. It's your man, the Birdman, and of course, the Donna Sports. Man, we got a jam-packed show for you this evening, live from the Outside the Locker Room studios. And, man, we got a jam-packed show, man. I mean, football is upon us. But we got a return of one Carson Wentz. Comes back to town to Philadelphia, and
Ginger Jesus, they call
him.
The
Ginger Jesus is back in effect, and man, a lot to talk about there. But there's been a lot of news. We're going to start out there with the steel curtain out there in Pittsburgh, where there's been a lot of news going out there in Pittsburgh. Not just Antonio Brown, not just Le'Veon Bell, but the whole state of the franchise of the steel curtain. Has the steel curtain fell in Pittsburgh? Donna Sports. I mean, is this a curtain call right now? We had an organization, top-notch organization, Pittsburgh Steelers, Class A organization. The Rooney family has done it for many years. Done great things for the NFL, multiple championships, known for its defense, known for its ability to stand by their players, and honor and commitment. Now you have a guy like a Le'Veon Bell, who's a marquee, about to be soon to be marquee free agent on the market, and still has not reported to camp, of course, and he's not reported to the season. So he's still out. This is week 3, and kind of looks like the guy, at least until week 10, and we don't know if he's going to play or not. What are your thoughts on the steel curtain and the state of the franchise there?
Well, unfortunately, this is something that we've seen over the past couple of years with the Steelers essentially having, a lot of hiccups and issues and turmoil within, the team. And this kind of takes you into a little bit of the culture. It takes you in a little bit of, why a talented roster like this, hasn't won, hasn't beaten the Patriots, hasn't gotten to the Super Bowl. And, you can argue absolutely that this team is more talented than the teams that Big Ben was on, when he won the Super Bowl. You think about the likes of Emmanuel Sanders, Santonio Holmes, obviously, even in the times when they had the bus, those teams more talented than, of course, Antonio Brown? Listen, you can argue you have the number 1 receiver in the league and the number 1 running back in the league.
Absolutely.
With Big Ben, who's all-time great himself at quarterback. I mean, why have they not gotten through? Well, we see, inside this locker room, some of the things that's going on. And for me, a lot of it goes back to when Antonio Brown was in that locker room, and remember when he was holding up the I don't know if it was Facebook or Instagram Live, and he had a situation where Mike Tomlin was after a pretty big win was speaking to the team, and they were talking about how those teams in New England who gets a lot of respect, obviously, what they're doing to prepare themselves, and we're not worried about them. We're getting ready for them. Antonio Brown was Facebook Living, and Tomlin obviously had no knowledge of it, and that caused a big problem.
Absolutely.
That takes you in the mindset, and for me, that's where, it really began to snowball. We remember the sideline tantrum that Antonio Brown put on, throwing a Gatorade bucket, when he didn't get targeted. Mm-hmm. And the next week he was targeted 19 times. Mm-hmm. And it's not just him. You see the flagrant issues that Le'Veon Bell had, twice being suspended for, can't stay off the weed, as
off the weed,
as Stephen A would say. And, so a lot of issues that happen and plague that organization when you see a team that's so talented, yet can't get it done. So, being long-winded and saying all that, I'm very, very concerned for the Steelers. And one person in particular, and that's Mike Tomlin.
Yes.
Can he rally these troops? Is he losing control? Now, I don't believe that he's, like a lot of other people are saying that he's losing control, but this does not look good, if you're a Mike Tomlin team, especially not being able to get it done. And now they find themselves early in a season where they are 0-1-1, where they lost to, or they tied with the Browns, where they, lost at home to the Kansas City Chiefs, where they let a rookie quarterback come in and throw 6 touchdowns on their defense. Mike Tomlin being a defensive coach, formerly a defensive coach, I believe it was with the Minnesota Vikings. He was a defensive back coach. This is a problem. So to answer your question, Birdman, I'm very concerned. I don't like the makeup of this roster, not from a talent standpoint, but from a standpoint of I don't like the culture. Everyone seems to be like out for themselves. I got to get my contract. Now you see the offensive linemen speaking out against them. I don't like the culture there, man.
I can understand it too, and the only one that's in control of that right now is a Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin has to rally the troops, and I don't know if it's involving. Does it involve in bringing back Le'Veon Bell and getting his contract set and done? Right now, it looks like the sun has set on that. I've heard there's multiple trade partners, like the Seattle Seahawks that are interested in a running back. They do have a Chris Carson and a couple other running backs on that roster, but none to the likes of Le'Veon Bell. So a guy that can come in, learn that offense pretty fast, and at the same time grow from that offense. And then a very good, Carroll runs a pretty good organization. I mean, a pretty tight camp there. Something to look at there in Seattle, out of their hair and out of the AFC. But Mike Tomlin, this is all up to Mike Tomlin to get this right. He's the only one that can right these wrongs. It was said that an AFC coach, quote unquote AFC coach, came out and said that he's lost the locker room. So these are things that, there's a trickle down effect. If you look at what happened, what was the last season with the tripping, and then then going on and on and on about the different antics that's been happening in the Pittsburgh locker room. Even Harrison, who was a Patriot, who left the organization 2 years ago, went and joined the Patriots, did not win a did he win a championship? No, he didn't win.
No,
the 2 years he there, he did lose. But spoke out against the organization. Those things you usually don't see. So a culture change definitely needs to happen in Pittsburgh. And it starts with Mike Tomlin. And I don't know if it's, like I said, it's Le'Veon Bell. Antonio Brown says he's not happy. And it's not about
missed the
him.
meeting on Monday.
He got some discipline.
We don't know what that is.
We don't know exactly what that discipline is. But he did speak out to the media yesterday and said, we suck. We're losing. We're 0-1-1. Right now, the Cleveland Browns, because they played on Thursday, have a better record than the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're actually winning.
When you look at Baltimore, who has a win, when you look at Cincinnati, who's undefeated, when you look at the Browns, who have a win, the most talented roster, being the Pittsburgh Steelers, are actually last place in the AFC North.
Absolutely.
That's a problem. And one other thing, and I know these are all, very, very, notable to everybody. I mean, we haven't even went through all of the things. What about the back and forth with Ben Roethlisberger and Todd Haley? And things like that going on.
Right.
They got rid of him. There's been so much going on from a culture standpoint down through the years. And, it sort of kind of reminds you a little bit, not entirely, of the Seattle Seahawks situation. With Pete Carroll, how he allows the players to kind of police themselves and be themselves. And, I think ultimately that's part of what led to the demise and breakup, along with age, to that team. But now we see kind of like that taking off. Mike Tomlin doesn't really police the social media or what the players is doing and things like that. I think that where I don't think he's lost the locker room, I do think this is a learning opportunity for Mike Tomlin to kind of, tighten up the ship a little bit, be in the know in a little bit more things than what he is, and stop giving as much rope even to your superstar players, because, the saying, you give someone an inch and they'll take a mile. That's what's going on here. That's why we see, Antonio Brown comfortable in missing a Monday practice when your team is last in the division, division that you were supposed to win hands down.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a lot of growing concerns happening in Pittsburgh, and we also heard Ben Roethlisberger, in the offseason saying whether he wanted to play or he was going to retire. There's so many different things that we can point to from a professionalism standpoint, a disciplinary standpoint, a culture standpoint with this team that has to cause that growing concern. I mean, Le'Veon Bell, obviously he's, hasn't signed a contract, so he's not on the team.
Mm-hmm.
But, he's out debuting his album, and performing this in clubs. Yeah, he has a EP that he said is coming soon. So he's debuting one of his singles in clubs I believe in Los Angeles.
Go figure, L.A. Hey,
while
if LeBron can go there, why not? Everybody go to L.A.
While the season's going on. So, Birdman, I mean, it is a lot of growing concerns that's happening in Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. And I'll be honest with you, I think it's going to get worse before it gets better. I do not, where I did in the beginning of the year, and I know we went through our picks, and we did, as we do here, on Outside the Locker Room, we went through our picks. I don't think that Pittsburgh is going to make the playoffs this year.
Wow.
Yeah. I like the way Cincinnati's playing. Mm-hmm. And, with everything that's going on, it just doesn't look good to me. Football is so much about team chemistry. It's so much about being hot at the right time and a togetherness, and you just don't see that there. And so we're going to have to keep our eyes and ears, obviously, on this situation. Hopefully see if we can get the boss man to get us down there so we can kind of, do some out supporting or reporting, directly in Pittsburgh at some point. But, something to keep our eyes on.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of down there, I had the opportunity to go out and represent, of course, Outside of the Locker Room, presented to you by TSJ Sports. Check us out at tsjsports101.com for all your tsj101.com for all your latest and greatest news all around the sports world. Check us out on your Instagram, your Twitter, your Facebook. You can follow me at TheBirdman78 and at Child of God on Twitter. We will be on YouTube, of course. That will be broadcasted. We'll have live broadcasts in the future. Right now, this video will be posted, of course, at the end of the show on the YouTube page. Check us out on the website and on your Twitter for that information. But I was able to travel down to Tampa Bay, where
the special one. I mean, they give you all the opportunities, and little old me, I was home watching it, on the TV set, just like you guys. But continue.
Well, he has a 65-inch, so don't let him skew you guys. He has a 65-inch, so I mean he's in good comfort. But went down to Tampa Bay, awesome stadium. They gave us a handful, a mouthful, should I say, but we held it down. Philadelphia locked down the whole left side of the stadium, which was the player side. I mean, the team side. And, of course, we came up short with a loss. Fitzmagic, should I say, and Deshaun Jackson, who kills the Eagles every time he plays them, had their way. Charlie Raleigh back, and it didn't happen. But I say that to be said because now it is not Foles anymore. Carson Wentz gets cleared. Knee is a go. Cleared for contact. Will start his first game. And some would say, if you're a Philadelphia Eagle fan, that this is the beginning of the season. Some would say. Against the Indianapolis Colts, which I had as a target date. Donald's words, I think you said Tennessee at one time. But this was the perfect landing spot for him at home against a team. When you look at the schedule, we'll probably have one of the... I want to say like it's one of the worst defenses that on the schedule. Within the first 8 weeks, this would have been the perfect time for him to come in and play and have a home crowd behind him. And we know that the Philadelphia Eagles come out and play ball, especially the defense, at home. Now, they have a lot to live up to because last week was atrocious in all aspects. Cornerbacks, defense, your secondary, your D-line. I didn't hear a Derek Barnett. I didn't hear Chris Long. I did see a Bennett sighting. I did see a Fletcher Cox sighting. Brandon Graham popped up every once in a while. But these are things that have to be corrected. So we're going to see what happens there. But was able to, like I said, fly out to Tampa. visit some folks out there, some friends, which we consider family. Shout out to Miss Hamlet out there. Shout out to Ron Tronius, as I call him, Chris. Held it down, showed us around Tampa Bay. Downtown Tampa Bay is beautiful, man. I had to keep that as a vacation spot, man. Yeah. I didn't get no pineapples from Miss Hamlet, but I'm gonna be back down there to get my pineapples. But what do you think about the Carson Wentz coming back to Philadelphia, and what does it mean for this team?
Well, I do think that for all of us who think that Carson Wentz is just going to pick up right where he left off, I think we need to temper our expectations.
Okay.
Now I think that Carson Wentz is absolutely going to return to MVP form this year, but I don't think it's going to be week one, even against a weaker, defense in the Colts, which has gotten and improved, but they're still not there. But, Carson's coming back to a situation where he doesn't have the weapons that he had, prior to getting injured. Alshon's not there. Ajayi's hurt. Sproles is out. Of course, Mac Hollins, for whatever it's worth, is not there. So he's not going to have the weapons, to kind of return to form. Now, that's not going to change his game. I think that you'll see Doug Peterson not call the game scared. You might even see, a first play kind of bootleg, from Carson, just to show the fans and everybody else that Carson is healthy, and to, kind of increase his confidence to let him know that he's healthy. So, that may be possible. But I think you're going to see a very efficient Carson Wentz. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't throw for 300 yards this game. But, completing 60 to 70% of his passes, I absolutely expect. I'm not sure how much Jordan Matthews is going to play a part in this week's game, although I know he knows the offense. So
he's getting a touchdown.
He's getting a touchdown? Okay. So, but obviously Carson Wentz is very comfortable with him. And so that was a good pickup. But at the end of the day, it's all about getting the win. It doesn't have to be the prettiest. Just him getting back out there 9 months removed from an ACL and LCL tear, complete tear, which typically is a year, a 12 to 18 month recovery time. So Carson is 9 months removed from that. So that is,
it's remarkable.
That's I cannot believe that.
That's remarkable.
That's along the lines, not exactly, but along the lines of like an Adrian Peterson recovery.
Okay.
Now we've seen Adrian Peterson came back and rushed for 2,000 yards, 6 months removed from it. We'll have to see what kind of statistics that Carson Wentz put up, but just being back healthy, he's been cleared on all, for all, contact.
But let me ask you this: cleared. Now it's a 2-week difference. The season is we're 3 weeks into the season. Could 2 weeks really make a difference? Or do you think this young man was cleared in the beginning, and this just was this was the best landing spot for him with Indianapolis?
Well, that's a good question. I don't think he was cleared prior to this week, but I think that they always, prior to when they looked at the game plan for Carson Wentz, I think that it was always, the plan in place to bring him back in front of this home crowd. Seeing his last time he played was, what was it, back in November of last year. I think, and that was on the road in LA. I think they wanted to bring him back in this home crowd and kind of also give him a couple games under his belt before we get into the meat of the season.
I agree.
So I think, Carson was on the record saying like he felt healthy enough to play week one.
As a player, you're going to say that.
Exactly. You're going to say that, but he knows his body better than anybody else. So he felt very comfortable and ready to go week one. But I think that, understanding, respecting, the plan that they had in place, I think this was always the identified time of what they were going to bring him back. It's not so much of who they're playing, but it's where they're playing at home, and the timing, wanting to bring him back, right before, the meat of the season where we start to play some of these, tougher teams. So most notably, I think Minnesota is one of the toughest teams that we have.
Yeah.
What are we, 3 weeks away from that?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I think. And listen, I think Carson Wentz is going to be outstanding. Unfortunately, missing the first 2 weeks, I'm not sure, but in a lot of people's eyes, it may disqualify him from
Absolutely.
from being
hogwash.
MVP.
That's hogwash.
From being MVP. I mean, now the difference is he missed games at the end of the year last year. Since he missed it in the beginning, will that kind of be out of sight, out of mind? And
Well,
if he
it's 2
comes
games.
out,
It's 2 games compared to 6. It's 6 games. Yeah, 6 games. He was out 6 games. Last year.
no. He only missed 3 games.
No. Was it?
Yeah, because remember the Rams, when they played the Rams last year, I believe that was week 14, and then he missed the last 3 games. Remember what Foles started 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
The Raiders, the Giants, and it was one other.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when they went into the. Now, if you're including the playoff run, of course, 5 to 6 games.
Well, they're not counting. They're not counting.
But yeah, it was 3 games that he missed in the regular season.
Okay.
And still threw for almost 4,000 yards and 33 touchdowns with only 6 interceptions.
Pretty darn good.
Still was second in the in the league in touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
I think third in MVP votes behind, of course, Tom Brady and Russell Wilson. So, but by the time he went down, he was absolutely the consensus, MVP of the season. So I think he'll return to form. I don't think it'll be this week against the Colts. However, I think he'll play very well. I think it'll be very efficient. We won't see and I use this, term kind of loosely, the reckless play.
Okay.
From Carson Wentz that we've seen previously, but I don't think that, again, they're going to coach scared. I don't think he's going to play with the injury in mind, especially after he takes that first hit.
Okay.
I think he's going to move forward, and you're going to see a very efficient Carson Wentz. I know we're kind of getting early in the predictions, but, I look for the Eagles to win this at home 31-13.
That's
pretty big.
That's a handsome score.
That's a handsome score.
Well,
I think the defense gets a touchdown.
Let's move forward to the Indianapolis Colts. Let's move forward to New England Patriots. Now, Beantown, man, I mean, this is not a time to fret. This is not a time to tuck tail and run. The New England Patriots are in an unusual situation right now. You see Tom Brady on the sidelines, and you see him, which usually a mild-mannered gentleman, if you will, but quite a bit of rage after the game last week. And I don't want to say they got their tail handed to them with Jacksonville, but
they did.
They did. The lack of receivers, and it's for the first time in Tom Brady's career where I can say, I would say he's the GOAT. Some people would disagree. I know you're a Joe Montana fan. I don't know how you skipped over all these other quarterbacks.
Well, no, I actually think Peyton Manning is the GOAT.
Well, Peyton Manning is the GOAT. Well, let me see. 1, 2 rings. Can I keep counting?
Can Peyton Manning have Bill Belichick as his coach?
Oh, well,
for the better part of a decade?
So Bill Belichick is the reason. The sole reason he's won all these championships. Tom Brady has nothing to do with it.
We can get in that discussion another day, but
this is why we do it.
Okay.
We do it for the gram, or should I say the Facebook? But right now you see Tom Brady in the Brady Bunch. Is this a breaking up of the Brady Bunch? I really think this may be the last year for Tom Brady and Gronkowski, not just with the New England Patriots, because I really think when this ship sails, that their careers are set and done. I don't see Gronk playing for another team, and I definitely don't see Tom Brady playing for another team. So either Bill Belichick has to go, or they're going to leave, because there's some trouble in paradise right now in Boston. Now, they have acquired the likes of a Josh Gordon. Josh Gordon, a very troublesome receiver, who spent 7 seasons in Cleveland. Substance abuse problems since he's been there. That's something that's out to the public. Everyone knows that. Now it's reported that the Cleveland Browns they let him go because he was late to a team meeting. They said that he injured himself at a photo shoot. They didn't really believe him. It's really, if you read in between the lines, you try to see if he came there intoxicated or if he came there high or whatever to this meeting. They just said he was quote unquote not acting like himself. Now read in between the lines and think what you want. But if I'm reading that article and I'm reading that, and that's coming to my knowledge, that I see that this guy came to a team meeting and was not himself, that means that he was under the influence of something. That's what I see. The Browns try to cover it up a little bit and say what you want. But that's what it is. The New England Patriots acquired him for a first-round pick, and now is the number one receiver. So now you look at the receiving core. There's no more Corey Coleman. So there's Josh Gordon. There's no more Amendola. You have Edelman coming back in, 2 more weeks. He comes back the 5th game.
Yes.
Right. So, and a bunch of, you got Hogan's Heroes. Who else you got out there? Dorsett. Who is that? Indianapolis Colt Dorsett? Yeah, that might as well just be a creative player on Madden, just running around the league, running around the field. So Tom Brady has very little weapons to work with. But now he gets Josh Gordon, which some people think, and it's not fair, and I don't want to make this a race thing and say it's because he's African American that people are not giving him a chance. But it's not fair they're actually saying that this guy won't even play 4 games. That's not fair. We want this, as human beings, we have to want a person to get better and a person to overcome a sickness. And that's what substance abuse is. When alcoholism, which is number 1 in America, it's not marijuana, it's not cocaine, it's alcoholism, and it's a sickness.
Well,
so
it's legal too.
And it's legal. Me and you can go out right now and get a drink. It looked like you was drinking already.
I think it might be something in your cup right now. I'm talking about the Tom Brady the GOAT. But
no, that's an Eagle cup. I don't put anything in that cup, sir.
All right.
But what do you think about the state of the Patriots right now? Is this another? Is it real? Is the beef between Belichick and Tom Brady a real thing, or is this a figment of our imaginations?
Oh no, it's absolutely real. Now do I think that they are both professional and hella good at their jobs where they can move forward with this for the better good of the team and the organization in terms of winning? Absolutely. We've seen that done down through the years. But there's no doubt that Tom Brady is probably not Bill Belichick's favorite cup of tea right now.
We got a Gerald sighting on our site, man. That's
really?
Gerald. You haven't seen that guy in a minute.
Jeez.
I heard he got kidnapped or something.
Oh God.
Well, that's another story.
But I think that it's a lot of them is well documented.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the issues. Obviously most notably with Guerrero being excused from being around the team, mm-hmm. and obviously Tom Brady did not like that. And just overall the handling of the Jimmy G and Tom Brady situation.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Tom Brady felt like, and it was reports that came out, earlier this week that Tom Brady felt like Bill Belichick was going to push him out the door as Peyton Manning was pushed out the door in Indianapolis. So he, superseded him from a chain of command standpoint and went straight to Robert Kraft and explained to him his situation. And that's when Robert Kraft, came down with the order that he will trade Garoppolo. I think that there is a lot of issues. Now, the one issue that a lot of people I think are getting a little bit wrong, was when Bill Belichick with the Deflategate. So what a lot of people don't know is that Bill Belichick, and it's been reported and I've cleared through certain sources. Bill Belichick got in a lot of trouble for Spygate. From Robert Kraft, obviously from the NFL, but Robert Kraft also approached Bill Belichick and told him, if anything like this happens again, you're done. So
wow.
When it came to the standpoint of Deflategate, a lot of people are taking that and saying, well, he threw Tom Brady under the bus in the interview by saying, I don't know anything about that. You're going to have to ask the quarterback. But really what Bill Belichick was doing in that situation is completely separating himself from that situation because he understood that, he was kind of on thin ice from Spygate. He doesn't have a lot of leg room with that in terms of Bob Kraft. So, a lot of people want to point to that being issues, not so much there, but absolutely when you see, Robert Kraft telling him he has to trade Jimmy Garoppolo and then him trading Jimmy Garoppolo to when it was reported that the Browns offered a lot more from a compensation standpoint for Jimmy Garoppolo. And he ended up trading him to the San Francisco 49ers, where he's very fond of Mike Shanahan, Kyle Shanahan's father. They're really good friends, and so he traded Jimmy G there for a second-round pick. One that was doing the best thing and the right thing by Jimmy G, who he has a lot of respect for, and two, it was kind of sticking it to the organization that, okay, if I'm going to trade him, I'm going to trade him for next to nothing, or what his the compensatory would be for him. Now, the only thing is, and it's also been reported. I'm using that word reported a lot today.
Yeah, it's been that's about seven times.
It's about 7, 8 times.
I mean, if this is a recording, they'll edit you out.
Okay.
Okay.
But it's also been well documented and reported, viewers, that Bill Belichick has been texting back and forth with Garoppolo after each game, congratulating him and things of that nature. Tom Brady has never gotten that. Has never gotten those text messages. Tom Brady is, and this is one of the issues that Tom Brady has, and it's kind of worn thin and grown thin on him, is he's been treated, essentially from the inception of him coming there, he's been treated and policed and coached no different than any of the other players in that locker room. Now, we know that production and tolerance is a thing. You know, if you have high production, the tolerance is going to be there. In the case of Tom Brady, there's no need because he's been a model citizen.
Has he been a model citizen?
Well, from what we know of, in comparison to some of the other players in the league,
Thievery is a model citizen.
Well,
is that a model citizen?
You know, when you compare,
how many gates can we have? Deflate gate, tape gate, weight gate.
Come on, man. I think there's a lot of a strong drink inside of that cup.
Wow. It's called cafe.
But so you know, look, I think that it's real. I think that when they come out and underplay it, that's the Patriot way.
Gerald says Wingate.
Wingate.
Yeah, David Wingate. Seattle Supersonics.
But you remember when I think Robert Kraft was doing that interview, and he came out and said, you know, egos needs to be checked at the door, you know, for all parties involved to accomplish their, you know, and I'm paraphrasing here, folks. I'm not directly quoting him, but egos need to be checked at the door, you know, in order for us to move forward. That's indicating that there were some real issues after they were dismissing that, you know, and vehemently dismissing that. So they're real, but at the end of the day, do I think it's going to stop them from, you know, being, you know, the AFC division, or let's say the AFC East division champs, and potentially going to another AFC championship game? No. Even with the lack of talent, even with, you know, the 58 wide receiver transactions that they've done since the beginning of the season, or since training camp, 58 wide receiver transactions.
That's a lot. I mean, did Coleman had a chance to even put on a Patriot uniform?
I mean, he may have taken some. I
don't even think he got his cup on.
Some practice reps. He may have helped like the Scott team there, but I mean,
did he get a cleat?
And I don't. And let me just say this about Josh Gordon. I respect, you know, that the Patriots. It's a low risk, high reward.
Okay.
If he doesn't work out, they'll cut him. They're not going to babysit him. They're not here to try to cleanse him from any demons that he has. Can you help on the field? That's it.
That's the bottom line.
And I don't think he's going to play a part this week. And I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't play a part next week either.
Well, then there's slim pickings after that, because Edelman comes back, and we know that's one of his go-to targets.
Well, we know that this is one of the most sophisticated systems in the league to get a grasp of. And
you see, I'm not comparing him to the likes of a Randy Moss, and I know we have to move on because we got to talk about Baker Mayfield. But talent-wise, he is very, I want to say very close, but he is of the likes of, it could be of the likes of a Randy Moss as far as talent-wise. But we don't know if all the pieces are going to be there. Now, Randy Moss came there and grasped the system pretty good. He's no dummy. Mm-hmm. We don't know what Gerald. Got me saying the man's Gerald's name. Jeez, this is Gerald's game. Got me. We don't know what he's going to bring to the table. So we'll know after this game on how invested he is. Now, the Patriots are not shy, and if they made a mistake, they're not shy in correcting the mistake and recutting this gentleman, because a 5th-round pick is nothing to the Patriots.
Yeah.
That's something they probably had in the tuck from 2 years ago, from before Deflategate. So, I mean, we'll have to see how that works out. But
you know what? And I know we don't have time for it today, but one of these, in the coming weeks, we're going to have to discuss and possibly debate between you and I, who is more responsible for the Patriots' success through this
very good question. Listen,
You know.
Mr. Waiters, I know you out there on the text board, biggest Patriots fan that I know. Let's ask him, who is more, I want to say to blame. Who's more responsible for the Patriots winning? And if any Patriots fans that's out there, if there's 3 of you out there, at least in the East Coast, at least in Philadelphia, who gets the credit? Is it Tom Brady or is it Bill Belichick? Because I mean, you can also go back to Bill Belichick and remember when he was on the Cleveland Browns. That's the last time that they went to the playoffs. Tell me who their quarterback was, Donna Sports.
Wow.
Tell me who. You get a TSJ t-shirt right now. If you could tell me what quarterback was behind center when the Browns went to the playoffs. It's been eons. It seems like it's been eons, but it hasn't.
Give me 2 shots.
He's
Is it
Caucasian.
Is it Vinny Testaverde?
No, too far, my brother.
Okay.
Too far. He is Caucasian. That's a hint. Hey. Matter of fact, I'm gonna do. You keep thinking. I'm gonna pull up a list of the quarterbacks. I'm gonna let you look at them. I'm gonna let you look at it.
Is it Garcia?
You're taking. You got 2 more shots. It's not Garcia. Good guess though. That would have been the guess that I would have thought of until I seen it. Come on, somebody out there help him out there, man. Somebody help him. Let me see if I got anybody on the board. Tim Couch. Man, Tim Couch ain't going no door playoffs. He's horrible. This is why we can't invite James to the show.
Oh man, that is.
Hey, James says both. You can't have both, James. You got to tell me Tom Brady or Belichick. One of them. Anybody can say both. You can add Robert Kraft into that if you want. You can add Gronk in it. You can add anybody into that. I need one person.
You got me there on it. I mean, testing my sports knowledge.
Come on, dude. I'm going to show you a list. I'm going to let you see it again.
Okay.
We're going to go all the way back. He's on this list. Colt McCoy. Derek Anderson. Bobby Hoyer. Brandon Wheaton. Josh McCown. Which one of those quarterbacks?
I'm going to say Derek Anderson.
Derek Anderson is correct. Who said Kelly Holcomb?
My God.
Put that in your memory. Kelly Holcomb. Jesus.
Whew.
Goodness gracious. You should bet on saying Kaiser.
I thought he was going to say,
You don't get a t-shirt, Gerald. That was a horrible answer. That was horrible. You can't even look at the show anymore. Yes, Derek Anderson was the last guy that took him to the playoffs, and Mr. Belichick was there. So, when you look at the success that he had in Cleveland,
they were a putrid franchise, outside, of course, the glory days when they had Jim Brown and all those guys. But, yeah, I mean, that's something that we'll have to debate, because Tom Brady obviously was a 6th-round draft pick. He didn't even start until I think his senior year in Michigan. And obviously injury allowed him to get an opportunity at the quarterback position. But, there was no way, Tom Brady told Belichick that that was going to be the best draft pick that you've ever made. But there was no way that anybody thought that Tom Brady, a 6th-round draft pick, was going to be the player that he is today. And did not have the success with Drew Bledsoe. Ended up getting hurt. Tom Brady, as some say, falls out of the sky to him. And, that's going to be an interesting argument. We're going to have that in a couple of weeks, especially as the season rolls on. I want you to kind of get your arsenal of data, if you will, to make your argument. I will make mine. But that's a very, very interesting debate and argument because, you can really argue both ways. And that's why.
Wow, and looking at this, Derek Anderson, he also was a Pro Bowler in 2007 when he took him to the playoffs. How about that? How about
Derek
that?
Anderson can play.
I
I mean,
said,
we know
how about
that
that?
he went to Carolina. And
No,
and
Kelly
played
Holcomb.
well.
Will you stop with Kelly Holcomb?
Kelly
Holcomb was in 2003. He did. That wasn't the last team. It wasn't Kelly Holcomb. Please stop saying Kelly Holcomb.
Did what was the quarterback did Kevin Cobb play there?
Kevin Cobb did not play for them.
Okay.
Kevin Cobb
He was
played
in
for
Arizona.
Yeah, so definitely wasn't Kevin Cobb. He might have had some. Look at Gerald. Damn. Yeah, you're wrong.
Give up, Gerald.
Give it up, man. But Tom, Sean Mason clicks in and says, Tom Brady. I have to agree. I think it's, man. I'm splitting hairs here.
That's what your heart says, Tom Brady.
You know, always.
I'm going to go the other way with that and say,
but you know, but when you look at basketball, I'm the same way. I don't like giving credit to coaches. Mm-hmm. I'm not a Phil Jackson fan. We know the Grand Wizard has done many things, including stink up a New York franchise that already smelled like horse manure. But what he did in Chicago, what he did in LA, he gets a lot of credit. But you're playing with Michael Jordan. You're playing with Kobe Bryant. You're playing with Shaquille O'Neal. You're playing with all-time greats, top 50 lists, arguably, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's Kobe, Shaq, Michael Jordan. They're all on the top 50 list. So I cannot. Gerald, stop talking about the T-shirt. I cannot get by the fact that these players are what got Phil Jackson there. Now, when you are and I know we're switching to basketball and we're bringing up a basketball point before we close out. Once again, follow us on the website, TSJ101sports.com for all your latest and greatest news. Yes, you can buy a T-shirt on coaching. Look at this guy. You can buy a T-shirt, Gerald, if you like, at our TSJ 101 Sports store. Go to the website for your T-shirt. They got all the sizes. But I can't help but think that Gerald's making me lose my train of thought. I can't help but think that these if you're a coach like you know what I'm going to bring up, Larry Brown. Larry Brown coached a Piston team who arguably didn't have any quote-unquote superstars. You're talking about Ben Wallace. You're talking about Rip Hamilton, Chauncey Billups. All these guys that Ben Wallace. All these guys that were just gritty guys and won a championship. I have not seen Phil Jackson do that. And I don't even think, to be honest, I don't even think Phil Jackson is built to do. I know I'm hurting a lot of fans. A lot of people are mad about this. But I don't think Phil Jackson is built to even put a team together like that, like a Larry Brown, and win a championship. I don't think he could have won a championship with that team that Larry Brown put together in Detroit. Well,
listen, we're going to have this argument another day. Again, compile your list of data.
Yeah, I said it, Keith.
Compile your information, and I'm going to come support mine, and we're going to.
What are you going to support? What team has Phil Jackson coached?
I'm not talking about Phil Jackson. We're going to talk about the Tom Brady and Belichick debate.
Oh, okay.
But right now, I would like to talk about that firestorm that took the field last night.
Cleveland's on the map. 1-1-1.
I mean, you see Baker Mayfield, and you never want to see someone obviously get an opportunity due to injury, but they were calling for his name. They were going nowhere fast. And listen, Tyrod Taylor, he's a great leader. It's all reported, but this was inevitable. They drafted him with the number 1 overall pick, and then you were able to see Baker Mayfield and go up against what some believe to be a general consensus before, last year's college season, and Sam Darnold, who they thought would go number 1 and was the most ready. And so you got an opportunity to see Baker Mayfield take the field. Of course, we understand, what he was able to do and win a game. What did you see from, an energy standpoint as Baker took the field and was able to galvanize this team toward a victory, and also the question is twofold, and what do you think that this can do for their season, and how far could this energy propel them?
Well, what I've seen is a stadium filled of diehard Cleveland fans who've been yearning for 636 odd days since winning a single game. What I've seen is a stadium that that started off lit up, and then Tyrod Taylor takes the field, and it looked like somebody unplugged the electricity because I didn't see any on the field. you talk about a Tyrod Taylor that what did he go? He went 4 for 14, 19 yards in a quarter. Atrocious. I seen him missing receivers. I don't know if it's, and I seen Tyrod Taylor in Buffalo. It was more comfortable.
He's played better than this.
He's played better than this. You know, when you look at the games that they were close in, of course, New Orleans and then Pittsburgh tying with them, and you're on your home field. This is a team that looks like you're marking off. And if Cleveland is marking anybody off as a win, you're thinking of the Jets. Their defense is playing good. I mean, the DN is a monster. I mean, you can. If he's not in the Pro Bowl, I don't know who is. And I just didn't see the confidence level there. Now, I understand that Tyrod Taylor got hurt. I believe he could have came back in that game. But I believe the Baker's dozen was called.
Mayfield.
The Baker's dozen was called, and then I seen the connection. I seen the electric start to flow through the stadium. And the commentators called for it. He said, one more bad play, and they're going to start calling. They called before he even threw the incomplete pass. It wasn't a sad story when he went down. It was joy. And Cleveland ended up, you can see Baker Mayfield come in and completed 3 of his first 3 passes in dramatic form, and they were the same passes. 2 of them were the same passes and the same targets that I seen Tyrod Taylor miss. And he finished at 17 for 23, 201 yards, no touchdowns, but he did do a Philly, which was not originated by the Patriots or the Philadelphia Eagles, but a high school team. Doug Peterson did give credit to that, but I'm sorry, in the NFL and high school teams, the NFL is going to get the leeway. It's called the Philly or the Philly Special. And Baker Mayfield did that on a 2-point conversion, of course, giving them a lead, and then the defense stepped up. I really like what I'm seeing out of this defense. And now if you put this other component with the offense and Baker Mayfield and the way he's able to elude tackles, by no means is Tyrod Taylor less of an athlete than Baker Mayfield, but he has that it factor. Sam Darnold, we both thought, I mean, the verdict's still out. He had 3 games. He actually played. He started the season, even though he didn't know he was the starter. Josh McCown, I think, can do a better job because he had a connection with Robbie Anderson. He had a connection with all of his receivers, and he
made a better job as coming in and playing.
Absolutely.
Well, but you can't put the I'm
just saying.
I mean, down now.
Well, you can't
kill his confidence.
You'll kill confidence. But I would have went in if I was the Jets and Todd Bowles. Went in with the starting quarterback as being Josh McCown. You did pay him quite a few penalties to play for your organization. I would just wean the kid in because right now he's in a situation where you can't look back. Baker Mayfield, and you can say what you want, Hugh, that you're contemplating on which guy is the starter. Ownership is going to vote your black. I can't even say that. That's a lean on me verse. I don't want to get in trouble for that. But they will vote him off because Baker Mayfield will be the starting quarterback on Sunday. Next week. You can joke around and try to kid around and boost up Tyrod Taylor's confidence. But Baker Mayfield, the electricity is brought there to Cleveland. LeBron's going out of control. J.R. Smith is back to being shirtless at the stadium. He's at the stadium walking around shirtless again.
Welterweight champion of the world. Porter was there.
Porter was at the game. There's a bunch of people, stars and non-stars, that are supporting the Cleveland Browns. And I'm just happy to see the organization win a game and at home. Like Baker Mayfield said in the game, the only guy I know that was really behind Baker Mayfield wasn't Skip Bayless. There was another analyst that was a Baker Mayfield fan, but
Joel Clapp from FS1.
Absolutely. But I didn't think they said that he should have been the number 1 pick. I still don't think he should have been the number 1 pick.
Skip definitely said he should.
Skip did say that, and the lack of his knowledge, but Skip did say that.
I said it too. I called it
down the sports aisle. Down the sports.
When Devasty was calling for I forget who it was it Josh Rosen or somebody like that? Mm-hmm. I absolutely called for him. And let me tell you what was most impressive to me.
Okay.
Baker Mayfield got 0 first-team reps.
Okay.
And was able to come out and perform in the way in which he did. Now, Baker said, listen, I may have not gotten first-team reps, but I was able to with the reps that I was getting with the 2s and the 3s, performed very well. So, obviously having the ones with more talent around me, I should be able to do better. Which makes sense in theory, but there's still a connection and a chemistry issue that needs to be worked out there. Well, being able to come out there and play as efficient as he was, that was very, very, very good for me to see for him. And so, Baker Mayfield, not only is he a great thrower of the football, and he may not be as athletic as Tyrod Taylor, but he's certainly better in terms of pocket mobility.
Okay.
You've seen some of the moves that he was able to put on to escape, keeping his eyes downfield and being able to continue to move forward. I think this Browns team, when you look at a guy, man, was I impressed by Callaway and his route running and his
but Landry's a beast.
But I mean, Landry absolutely showed up.
Now, fantasy football owners, you should be very concerned because if you do not, this boosts the status, this boosts the value of a Jarvis Landry. So if you have a trade to make for a Jarvis Landry, just a little fancy tidbit, you might want to go get him because that connection there is very good. And their tight end, Njoku is going to be very vital to that offense as well.
Especially in the red zone.
And look for Duke Johnson owners. Get happy because Baker Mayfield's going to find your guy. He's going to line him up in the slot.
He had a few really good routes that he ran almost like a receiver. Remember that one on the sideline, the right hash marks that he caught him, I think for like a 9-yard gain. Listen, that team has some weapons. That defense is coming to play. When you figure that defense held Drew Brees to 21 points in New Orleans, that's pretty tough to do. And had a shit. You can really look at it, and that was, credit to Tyrod in those first 2 games against Pittsburgh. Intercepted Big Ben 5 times, caused 2 fumbles, and then also, doing what they did in New Orleans and the Mercedes-Benz Dome. Listen, they could be 3-0 right now. The Cleveland Browns could very well be 3-0. And some would argue that if Baker Mayfield was at the helm from the very beginning, they would be 3-0. Especially seeing what you seen last night.
Do you believe he would have been 3-0? Do you believe that? Do you believe they would have been?
No, because I still think, and I have to believe, and I still think it's going to play itself out at some point too, where you will see some of the rookie mistakes. We seen that almost happen. The game could have ended last night with the Jets defender who dropped the interception in the end zone, which caused them to get another opportunity. So, I think that there will be some rookie mistakes made against some better defenses. But as of right now, do I think that Baker Mayfield can put it together and challenge for a playoff berth? A wild card? Absolutely. Especially with the way that the Steelers and the Ravens are looking. Now, Cincinnati is hot, but are you a believer in them or are you not? I am, one to believe that we have to see what the Red Rocket is going to do. They failed us before, but, he has performed well. So, listen, I'm very, very proud of what Baker Mayfield was able to do. I'm also very proud of being able to say that I said he should have been drafted first overall, and he was, and he confirmed.
Did you say that he should or that he was?
No, I said that he would.
I don't believe it.
I said that he would, and that he should.
This is where we need to rewind the tapes. Rewind the tapes. Back. So, and before we close out, we're gonna look at that. But before we close out, let's talk about Jimmy Butler because we got to close out. And
there's been a lot of reports with him.
Yeah, Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler is now requesting a trade. Now that he's going to. He's requested a trade from the team. We know what was going on with. We know what was going on with in Minnesota, with everything that was going on. Now you see the players are starting to speak out. Wiggins is starting to speak out. You're starting to see players like, Cat hasn't spoke out per se, But the players are starting to speak out. And now, this is real. Now, Thibodeau said he'll rather retire or leave the Timberwolves other than before trading him. Is this a problem? And this is where the NBA, I think, has so much power. Players have power in the NBA, where if you look at the NFL, there's a lack of power with players. As you see with Le'Veon Bell, who's taking control of it in his own hands, and he is suffering money-wise. The NBA, you're not having that issue. The NBA, it is what it is. You can hold out. You can pick your destination, as Carmelo Anthony has not done once but done twice. We've seen players like LeBron James do that. We've seen multiple players do this. And I think it's going to continue. Jimmy Butler requested a trade. He mentioned 3 teams. I think he mentioned the New York Knicks. He mentioned the Los Angeles Clippers. And he mentioned the Nets, the Brooklyn Nets, I believe it was. Mm-hmm. But his top destination was the Clippers. A lot of people thought it would be L.A. Now there's conversation about maybe it being New York because of the relationship he has with Kyrie Irving. And then you're looking at the NBA. It'll be a better NBA if you can bring New York back to life. So we have to see what happens there. But what do you think about the Jimmy Butler requesting a trade? Is it valid? Or could this be something that could be worked out? Because they did have a meeting. It did not go well. Shortly after the meeting, he said, I want to be traded. Could this wrong be written?
I mean, listen, I think it could be, but I don't think it will be.
Okay.
And there's been so much back and forth in this. You've seen the Timberwolves ownership saying that they were not going to trade him, that he was not up for trade, and then it came back out where the owner basically said that they were going to trade him. Mm-hmm. So I think that this is a situation where, Jimmy Butler, this is the second time he did this. He did it in Chicago.
Okay.
And now he's doing it again with the Timberwolves. I'm not surprised. Obviously, there are some big issues with Cat. There's some big issues with Wiggins, and we've seen the battle going on between Wiggins and him, or Wiggins' brother, I should say, and him, and also Wiggins and Stacks. So I think that this is a situation where Jimmy Butler is trying to get himself in a situation where he wants to team up with people that he wants to be with, and in a place that he wants to be with, and to be able to play basketball. And that place is not in L.A. with LeBron, but he's thinking about, obviously the Clippers with Kawhi Leonard. He's thinking about New York City, as you mentioned.
And that's funny you say that, and I know we got to close out. I don't think Kawhi's leaving. I don't think he's leaving Toronto. That's just my thoughts. And we have to monitor the situation as it goes along. But, folks, it's been nice. It's been lovely. We want to thank everybody for tuning in to the 7th episode of Outside the Locker Room on Facebook Live. We're going to ask that you continue to tweet us. Follow me at the Birdman78, at the Child of God on Twitter. Follow us on TSJ 101 Sports for all your latest and greatest news. And we'll see you same bat time, same bat channel next week. 7 to 8 on Friday. It's been nice. It's been lovely, folks. Don, take us home.